Welcome to the Lovability Podcast. My name is Jennifer Stiers, and I'm here to talk love, relationships, sex, marriage, and everything in between.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lovability Show. I'm your host, Jennifer Stiers, and I have my co-host with me today, Christine Hamilton. Say hi, Christine.
Hi, Christine. Hi, Jen.
That's what Christine
I've missed
does.
you.
I know.
It's good to be back.
I know. I haven't even seen her in a couple weeks. She literally blew in the studio. So, time for a podcast, everybody. We've been gone, so we're excited to be back. You know, I threw out a topic today to you guys. I didn't expect to have so much feedback. I wanted to know about some dating challenges that you guys are having. I feel like I'm pretty in touch with people in the dating world. However, I just thought, let me throw this out there. Let me see what you guys are dealing with out there. Let's see what challenges you guys have. So the topic of our show today is called dating, the good, bad, and the ugly. So unfortunately, we're dealing with the good, bad, and more of the ugly today. So
I've experienced all of that. So
yes. Christine's newish to the dating world.
Correct.
Newish.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting to see what we're going to see today is some of the seasoned people that have been out there. And I'm just watching the trends. I was saying earlier, it's amazing that how many people tell me stories, Christine, and it literally makes me want to cry when I hear about the ghosting that goes on. And I was talking to a client yesterday, and she's beautiful.
Yeah.
And she was telling me, this is crazy, because when I say she's beautiful, she's beautiful.
Yeah.
She was telling me that she's shown up to 2 dates, 2 different dates at 2 different times. The guy looked at her, and they weren't online dating dates. They were setups. The guy looked at her and said, "You're not who I thought I was, or you were," and left. Yes.
You know what? She dodged a bullet.
Completely.
It must have hurt, but she dodged a bullet.
But
she'll recognize that.
I can get if somebody does that, if it's like an online date and somebody is catfishing you got the wrong picture or something like that. Because that's not fair to somebody. Do not put the wrong picture up or an overly filtered picture so nobody knows what you look like.
Correct.
But when it was a friend, 2 friends of hers that had set her up. I'd be looking at my friends too. But the guys literally said, and she's stunning. The guys left. They literally said, "You're not who I thought you were," and left. One of them said she looked older than her picture or something, and she's darling.
Okay. By the way, ew, sweet thing.
On top of it, she told me that I'm probably being mean here, but he was bald and he had lost all his eyelashes and eyebrows during COVID. And that's what she shows up to, is a guy like this, but yet judging her.
How ironic.
And so, hello, dating world, what's happening, you know?
And it can be a lot of fun, too.
Yeah.
So don't lose hope.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's so
you know
much
what?
fun.
The truth is, and I do tell people this, there are so many amazing people out there. There are so many amazing people out there. You just have to find them. And it can't be a needle in a haystack.
It has to be right for both of you.
Yes.
Because you may have found the right person, you know, and until it's the right time for both of you.
True. Yeah. Timing's everything. And you know, timing gets tricky too, you know, because at different stages of our life, you know, when people are younger, they're building their careers, so they're busy. Then they're raising kids, right? So they may be single, raising kids. So timing of that is hard. I know a lot of women that raise their kids and they don't even bother dating during that time because they're so busy with shuffling kids here and doing that whole deal. A lot of women put their dating lives on hold. Those that don't, it's a juggle.
Right.
And then once people, their kids are grown, then it's like, yeah, right.
I get to my age, 56.
But travel, maybe like you're ready for travel and you like to travel.
Yes.
But what if you met a guy that had a job that he couldn't travel as much? That would be limiting. So it's just
Somebody I just dated, I call him SSS, hot guy that you set me up with.
Oh, wait, what is that? SSS?
So that is sweet, sexy six-pack.
Oh, yeah,
He
there
was
you go.
hot.
Yeah, we got
But
we got some tamales out there.
He
That's
had
for
to
sure.
work, and I wanted to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that timing needs to be right, and the lifestyle stuff needs to be right. That's why it's so important. You know, when we actually built my app, Lovability, our app. But when we built the app Lovability, that was one of the things we took into account was lifestyle, because that's a big deal, what you like to do. If you're a couch potato and the other person is a go out on the town kind of gal or guy,
Right.
it's not going to work.
Correct.
Right? And that's a big deal. We need to be thinking about that. Introverts, extroverts, stuff like that. That's important. What's your idea of fun? Right?
If I may, I was just talking to a very dear friend of mine. They are dating and have been dating somebody for a while. And they said that they're having discussions. These discussions have been ongoing for 6 months. And what I reminded this friend is, at a certain point, it becomes a decision,
Right.
not a discussion.
Right. Right. If something's not working, there's a certain point where
it's not going to, things aren't going to change.
Yeah. Unless you change them or make decisions to change them.
Certain things can't be changed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether there's children, whether,
And I do this super
et cetera.
important, like when you talk about lifestyles.
Yeah.
If somebody that's a big thing with kids. If somebody has kids and you don't want kids, or your kids are grown and you don't really want to do the parenting thing, it's not a good choice. I don't care how hot the person is and how attracted you are to that person. It's not the right choice long term. And then people complicate that by staying in it because they think they're having such a good time.
Right.
And then the kids get attached. And then that's so hard.
This was my conversation.
Yeah.
And what I know is that you can love somebody and you may think that they're your person, but the reality may be they're your person for right now.
Yeah.
And not everybody you love is meant to be your love forever. And it hurts for a minute.
Yeah.
But then you get to the other side and you're okay.
Yeah. It's getting past that whole idea. You know, it's funny because you talk about dating and we will do an episode on starting over when you're dating, but so many people don't leave relationships when they should because they don't want to be single again, and then they hear the horror stories of all these single people. Yeah, and then they're like, I don't want to do it. I just rather stay in this bad relationship. But that's
the other reason. I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's
but
okay.
This is the way our conversations always are.
Yeah.
And we can talk for hours. There's that, and also, if you have a really big heart and you think you're doing the right thing because you don't want to hurt them, and you're unknowingly hurting them by staying in it.
Yes.
And even more importantly, yourself.
Yes.
You know, so.
And kids possibly. If there's
The kids,
others
correct.
involved, you know.
And
what I
I
mean?
always remind myself first and others, give yourself grace. We're all doing the best we can.
Yeah.
Think clearly and make decisions. No more conversations.
Make decisions according to your values and who you are.
Right.
Because first and foremost, you have to live with those. And it's so important that you are aligned with your values in every decision that you make. And you've got to find somebody that's also aligned with those values. And that is key, is having those values aligned.
Yeah.
So, you know, interestingly enough, one of the very first things that I put into the app, that Lovability that I've just launched, is that values proposition in there, because values are so important that they're aligned. Like if you're a family person, if you're a spiritual person, whatever those main values are that drive your life, those have got to be aligned with your partner.
Right.
And it's so good. So many of the things in the app were so good. I had a lot of the major brands taking my stuff, like literally almost copying it verbatim, but they're not using it the way that we are. We're actually using it to match people, which is really what matters. It doesn't matter what somebody looks like if your values don't align. It doesn't matter how attracted you are if your values don't align. So people really need to think about that. That's why going backwards with somebody's looks, I keep hearing you people, I shouldn't say that, you people that are dating are talking about, oh, well, I got to be attracted, I got to have chemistry. You never know till you meet somebody. I met somebody at the party that was on the app, and she said, I met somebody tonight that I matched with on the app. I may have told the story, but I'll say it again, that I matched with on the app. I said no. Why? Because she didn't like the way he looked. She met him at the party, and she's like, I like him. I want to go out with him now that I've met him. Well, that's why you give people a chance. Everything was already aligned. We've sent her people that we knew she would like, but she didn't take a chance on it. She just,
Well, and in addition, yes, and I did listen. And what came to mind is the reality is, as we get older, our looks change.
Yes.
If it's the right person and the right connection, that is timeless.
Yes.
So
it has to be all in place at the same time. Yeah. Kind of tricky, but but it does remind me that all of you hear this. Everyone needs to be looking for what you like about somebody before you look at what you don't like. That includes looks and everything else. You go on a date, you look for what you like, not for what you don't like. You go on a dating app, you look for what you like, not just superficial things, but the things you like about what they said, the things you like about their profile, the things you like about them. Because I do, as a psychology person, I get on this, I hate getting too technical with psychologists, but I watch the way people do stuff. And it's important that I watch that women say no to men before they say yes to men. So they'll get their matches and they will go no first and then go into the yeses. And it's key that you leave it open. Give yourself time. Let it brew. Don't follow your first instinct.
And yes, and yes. I keep saying this. I always told my kids, treat people how you want to be treated.
Yes.
Well, that's so applicable here because you want that person that you're going on the date with to give you the same grace. Look at the things about me, even though it's not me, that you like, because none of us are perfect, but focus on the good.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Give it a chance. Let it marinate.
I remember years ago, I had set these two people up, and she was beautiful. He was nice looking. I'm going to give him less credit than he deserves right now because
more credit than he deserves.
Well,
or
maybe.
Less. I don't know.
Maybe he's actually a nice looking guy, except after the date, he's like, "Gosh, I hate to sound superficial, Jen, but she was very in shape. She did yoga and Pilates all the time. Her arms were a little flabby."
Oh,
I'm like,
my gosh. Okay, pot
just
belly.
while you're talking, I know.
Pot belly much? I'm assuming.
Actually did have a little pot belly, but yeah.
Pot, kettle, awful. Move on.
I'll never forget that. There's things in your career you'll never forget. And I remember thinking, she is beautiful, stunning, successful. There's not any hole that anybody could punch in her. Her arms are a little flabby. Are you kidding me? Come on, guys.
Guess what?
Come on, guys.
Guess what? We all got something that sags as you get older.
A nice little princess there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. So I decided to throw up on social media this morning on what are your biggest dating challenges, right? What are you guys going through? Has anything changed, right? Because we kind of know the pulse of, I've been doing this long enough. I follow you guys, but I thought maybe I'm missing something. Let's stay on pulse. I was surprised. I was just surprised again, as always. So here's some of the comments. One of the guys said his challenge is sincerity and intent. I mean, like, those are big things. Like, you're not finding women that are sincere. Ladies, well, guys, where are you looking, number one, but ladies,
right?
Where is that? Where's that feminine stuff, that integrity, all of that. Like, I know there's lots of amazing ladies. You know, this guy probably needs to look on my Facebook page to find some of them, but those are pretty big things. Well, that's a pretty big start.
And 2 podcasts ago, we talked about dating intentionally.
Yes.
First of all, and if you're not going to be the real you up front,
yes,
they might run.
Yeah.
When they discover the real you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And who wouldn't?
Right.
Okay. So then I've got another gentleman, people present themselves so different online versus who they truly are. This is why I don't respond to anyone online. So I asked if they didn't present themselves physically, or was it in their description of who they are? Yeah. And I assume it's probably both, because I hear those stories too. Another gentleman, it's a lot of guys stepping up.
I love that.
Ready for this?
By the way, that's so great, because as a single woman, you don't think men are that thoughtful about dating. This is super exciting for a single woman.
Yeah, and that's a good point. So let's bring this up.
Okay, sorry.
Men are more intentional than women are.
Yeah.
Now.
Most men. Some men lead with the wrong part of their body.
I mean, if you're on Tinder, probably not. But the good men, I mean, there was some shift after COVID, and I don't know what happened, but men got a lot more intentional. Interestingly enough, Helen Fisher, she was the chief scientist for Match.com many years ago, worked for the Kinsey Institute. I don't know why they ever let her go. They shouldn't have. She was amazing. But she was always on point with trends, and she was always the ones that they were the institute that took all the surveys and everything from people, different age groups, everything. And I had her on after COVID, and she said the same thing, that they actually found with their surveys that men had changed a lot during COVID for the better, where women almost went the opposite direction of more game playing and backing out. They're not as intentional with commitment as men are. And men still to this day, and I can tell you I'm in this business, men to this day are still a lot more intentional than women. They are. They're a lot more in and ready for commitment and commitment ready. So I'm not surprised when this gentleman said inability to make a commitment, and then a woman stepped in and she said, I know a lot of women, she's married, but she said, I know a lot of women who are afraid to commit and just want their own space. And so there's something to be said for owning your own space, and as ladies, and being really happy where you are.
And if you're with the right person, you can have both and be in a relationship.
Yes, you can.
Your own space can mean quiet thoughts. It can mean driving alone and have it processing. It can mean being at the gym.
Yes.
So space means a lot of different things to different people. It does. Right?
You have to find the right one that meshes with. But I do think as women have entered the workplace and have important jobs and can support themselves, we're not looking at these traditional relationships anymore, where the man goes to work and she's at home raising the kids. Right. It's not the case, and a lot of times women can do that. The men will say it's fine if you just want to raise the kids, and they're like, no, I have a job and I want to do this. So we are seeing that rise of that independent woman, but there comes a point, ladies, when you want the guy to pull the chair out for you. You want him to lead the relationship. You want him to make decisions.
Feels so good.
Yeah.
As a woman.
But ladies, if you would step back in the feminine energy, they will do that. Yeah. Most of them will. However, that's a whole nother story that we could
do daily podcasts. By the way, we could talk for 10 hours straight.
We could because one thing leads into another. Yes. Because there is a fading man. I hope that comes back, but masculinity was fading for a while, and men got some really bad habits. What?
We're both always.
I know, just like
we both always have so much to say. We get so excited with each other.
Yes.
Wait. So my perspective is, there are traditional roles. There are all kinds of roles out there. When you find the right person, the two of you decide on what the rules are for your relationship, independent of what anybody else thinks,
but
right?
It must be discussed.
Correct. Communication, transparency. If you're not sharing...
Yeah. It needs to be discussed.
Yes.
If something's uncomfortable for you, don't just go along with it until you can't go along with it anymore. You start resenting somebody. because once you start getting into those kind of modes, they're detrimental to relationships. You talk about things as they come up. What are you most comfortable with? You know, I did a TV interview this morning out in Arizona, and it was on micro cheating, and they're like, well, how do you handle that? And I said, well, you handle it by handling it up front before it happens, you know, and talking about boundaries, you know, ahead of time.
Bravo.
Because it's like, you know, who wants to deal with the husband or the wife that's on social media talking to the ex?
Right.
Why don't we set these boundaries at the beginning and say, this is who I am, and this is what I want, and these are the things that I stand for, and these are the things that are important to me. And wait.
I had a 24 trial run with Bumble.
24 day?
No, 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
Went on one date.
Wow.
Left immediately. When I told my son, he said, Mom, Bumble is for losers. You are not a loser. I digress. The first sentence of my profile that went away immediately was, I want someone to choose me just as I choose them, as I am today. And then we can grow together.
Yes.
That kind of is.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. And you know what? It's interesting because your son's younger than you. I mean, obviously.
And the smartest young man I know.
But having said that, that is really good advice for kids that are out there dating and just getting to know each other, right?
Oh my God, imagine me getting dating advice from my kids.
It happens.
Oh, I know.
And sometimes it's good.
Typically, they're right. So I listen.
Okay, so this is super. I've seen this one come up a lot, and I know it's going to be echoed. It already is echoed because the next two are about this. Lack of consistency, communication, and follow through. The next one said consistency is number one. When communication patterns change on either side, let me put my eyes on so I'm not squinting probably. I know they are moving on to what they think is a better option because dating apps and social media make everyone think there are so many options. It happens over and over. What most don't realize is there's tons of options, but limited when you look for the same character, morals, and beliefs that you have and want in a partner. Amen, Brandy. Good job. I know.
This is a comment on social media?
Yeah.
That you have an amazing audience.
I do. Wow. I really do.
Because of who you are,
I've actually had people get engaged and married from my page that they met on my page. So don't be afraid to get on my page and meet somebody.
Matchmaker, make me a match. When it's time, I just need a month.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But the lack of consistency, you know, I'm going to just say this and put it out there because we talked about how things have changed.
Yeah.
I actually was listening. Mel Robbins has a podcast, and I like to listen to some of her stuff. And this morning she was talking about if somebody doesn't communicate with you and they're, you know, being, you know, non-communicative and not doing what you want them to do, let them be that way and just leave because that's who they are. And I disagree with that. And here's why.
Okay.
Here's why.
Yeah.
Because here's what I know about men.
Okay.
Guys, listen up because this is super important. And ladies, listen up because it's super important.
Okay.
We can brush off a million people like she talked about and go, oh, they don't do what I want them to do. They didn't communicate with me as much as I wanted them to. They didn't take me out on the date. They didn't say this. They didn't dress like this. Let me tell you something. You direct each other. You direct each other because if he's not doing what you want him to do, men are so trainable. They are. They've gotten very lazy though. Men have gotten lazy. And so it's super important that women and men understand that it's a conversation. If somebody's not texting you enough or calling you enough or asking you out enough, you at least have a conversation about it first. If they refuse to change, then you have a decision to make. But you should have a conversation first before you dump them.
So I just finished that book, and I don't listen to her podcast. My interpretation of that is she says, let them behave that way. The second part, as I read it, is let me decide how I respond. So how I would respond in that situation is, if I were interested, hey, let's talk about this.
Right.
So that's the let me portion.
Right.
You're right. Let them and just get rid of somebody who might be good. No, let me respond appropriately.
She actually said, just let them and let go and move along. And I thought, no,
so,
don't do that. Yeah. But that's a great version though.
And I actually recommended that my daughter read the book. She said, I'm not a reader, so she's listening to the podcast. I think I texted both of you and said, the book landed with me so much differently than the podcast because I got the next layer of meaning that in the podcast, it doesn't sound like she articulated.
Yeah.
Plug for Mel Robbins.
It's great. It really does. I mean, because that's about boundaries. You know, you let somebody do what they're going to do. You decide whether it works for you or not. But don't give up on people, because I think we are in this world now in dating and relationships where people don't like something. Instead of having a conversation about it and coming to a compromise, they just let it go.
So respond with transparency.
Yeah.
You just let that
with openness. Like, nobody's going to, especially the older you get, nobody's going to be just like you. Nobody's going to do things exactly.
We don't want that.
People do. It's actually, believe it or not, it's the unspoken expectation. I get this because of what I do as a matchmaker. I'll hear people say, but you know what? I'm going out with him on Friday and I didn't hear from him until Wednesday. If he really was excited about seeing me, he would have texted me. I heard nothing from him until Wednesday. Okay, so you've never met the guy before.
Right.
He doesn't know you. You've never been on a date.
So you haven't had a chance to talk about what your expectations are.
He's confirming up Wednesday.
Oh, good Lord.
But see, that's the thing. They write the guy off before they even get to the date because they had an expectation that was unspoken, that was unrealistic, that was based on their own values, instead of taking into account exactly who somebody was, right? So, Grace.
You're right.
Yeah. So
and
anyway, so no, but it's a great conversation. I mean, I think that whole thing about boundaries is good, and you know, yes, it's one thing to observe how somebody's being, but you've got to dig in a little bit because there's always something behind that. And for us to make rash judgments, whether that be any relationship we have, we've got to converse about it. We've got to talk about it. Where do we meet? What do I understand about it? What do you understand about it? And do we meet, and can we meet in the middle? And if you can't, then you can, go your separate ways. So this was interesting. We'll find this one fun. She said, this is not odd, but would love your feedback on love bombing. And she tells a story about this guy that she's been going out with that has been going out with other women. Started dating someone else 5 months ago, and now there's 3. She said she got herself out, but is being love bombed. Like she recognized that it was happening, that the love bombing was happening. And so how do you recognize it, and how do you get yourself out of it, right?
Well, that's a great question. And let me ask, as a single and as one of your clients, what is love bombing? I don't even really know what that means.
Okay, that is a great question. Yeah. Love bombing is something we typically see in narcissistic behavior, and it's where somebody is pouring on the charm at the beginning. They're calling your phone, your sweetheart, your honey, your baby. They're taking you on the dates. They're doing every single thing right. Saying everything right. If they can't see you, they're doing it in a way that's so charming. You're like, fine. Like, oh, I can't. And
it's not even who they really are.
It's not who they are.
Okay. Love bomb. Got it.
Because the love bombing person is addicted to dopamine. So it's all about that chase and getting that person, aboard and that recognition and that validation. Once they have the validation, they're gone. I always say, that's a narcissistic behavior, you're filling up their tank, their gasoline tank, right? Wow. So they're coming to you for attention, and then once they get the attention and you filled up their tank, they're gone. Yeah. So they don't need anything else. So that's what they're doing. So they're love bombing all these people, and they're getting all this dopamine, but they really don't want any of them. They don't want any of them. And the more you pull away, the harder they'll come at it until they have you back.
Angels? It's so cliche.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
I'm fortunate not to have.
But anytime, I think this is just a good rule of thumb. Anytime somebody comes on really strong, really fast, they start talking, which somebody didn't hear. Yeah, about relationships. Starts putting the cart before the horse. You're on date 1 or 2, and they're talking about the future and throwing that out there. That's when you have to slow it down.
Okay, now that makes me think of something, because I was fortunate enough that my late husband, Alexander, who we call Sandy because his name may pop up occasionally, it truly was love at first sight. And so we went that fast, and we both knew, and it worked for 28, 30 years until the day he died. I mean, of course, there's bumps in the roads. So thoughts around that, like because love at first sight happens, and I think I might find real love again.
You will definitely find love
Thanks.
again. And I will tell you, I really feel like, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings out there that will say the same thing, that they found love at first sight, because I found it before too.
Yep.
The thing about it is sometimes you're seeing something different. Not in your case, you weren't.
Correct.
But you were also younger, and you actually are very.
Oh my God, right?
You're also very intuitive, and you've always have been.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't know you when you were younger, that's just who you are. But so you were probably relying on that a lot.
Wait, do you
But you were
remember
younger.
when? So I flew to Dallas and you interviewed me, and remember what I said about Sandy, my late husband? I said, I don't know that he would love the person that I am today.
Yes.
Goes back to your point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've changed so much since he's died.
Yeah.
In some ways for the better, in some ways not.
Well,
and the same is through the course of a relationship, right? So you're right. I'm not 27 anymore.
I am not going to call you out, but I am, because I am going to say this. I am going to say this because if we are, what happens in relationships when we've been with somebody a long time, and you can grow together, you can grow apart, but who you were,
yeah,
you didn't change. You just allowed that person. It wasn't something that you could be with your husband because he wouldn't have liked that piece of you. So you suppressed some of it a little bit.
No, you know what it is? We were probably too intertwined and codependent in our marriage.
Yes.
Since he's died abruptly, I had to learn how to be an independent, strong woman.
Oh.
So I think we were a bit too dependent in our marriage.
That's a good distinction. But I do think that other piece
That's
probably applies for some people, but for you,
that's my story.
Yeah, and that's but that's interesting too, because we do want to do a show on starting over, because the cool thing is that when you do start over, you have to take that time to go, who am I now? Right? Because who we are today changes from who we were when we met our person 28 years ago. So it's like, okay, who am I today? What do I want today? And I think that's why when you talk about love at first sight, I brought the age thing up. I feel like that's the reason why it doesn't happen as much. We can have instant attraction and be chemically attracted to each other. And it tends to put a lot of things that are important on the back burner when you're that attracted. It's very blinding. But I think the piece of it is that we jump in and there's all this stuff. I've got this going on in my life. I know what I like now. I stand strongly on this belief, and I stand strongly on this belief now. I didn't have that 20 years ago, but I insist on having this in my life, and this in my life, and this in my life. And so our expectations and standards are different as we get older. So I will say that falling in love at first sight is more, I'm infatuated and in lust at first sight. You have to take the time to get to know somebody, because that's, the other stuff comes up.
Okay, so mind blown. This is kind of like therapy, so I'm buying you dinner later. I'm buying you dinner later tonight. It's so funny because when Sandy was alive, he always told me slow down, because as you know, I run fast.
Right.
And I have a few friends in my life today reminding me, slow down one step at a time. And I think that actually is applicable in romantic relationships as well. It's not ready, aim, fire like it was when I was 27. It's take your time.
Think it through.
Understand. Don't rush into anything. Life is a lot shorter now than it was when I was 27. Right?
Well, we're aware of it anyway. I mean,
well, we don't know what we don't know. So
we don't know.
This is what I know.
Because we're never promised a tomorrow, but we are aware a little bit more of our humanity as we get older.
Damn it, it goes so quick.
It's ridiculous.
Can I say that?
It's ridiculous.
Damn
of course you can. You can say worse than that. We're on a podcast.
Okay. So don't waste time with the wrong person.
So I have somebody say, I've noticed a pattern where some men might be afraid of commitment due to past experiences or fear of losing their freedom. Well, don't get on an app and don't date if you're afraid of losing your freedom, guys. I mean, it's cool to be, there's two things today that's really cool to be. Number one is in a commitment.
Yeah.
And if you're a guy, committed guys are hot. Guys that will say, you know what, my wife would not approve of this, I'm leaving.
Oh my gosh, so hot.
And I will say, the other hot factor of a guy is if you like cats. So men that love cats, I'm in. I mean, come on.
She's taking applications for cat lovers. Authentic cat lovers.
It is no longer passe or uncool to be a cat guy.
Yeah.
I actually follow some really cute guys on Instagram that do cat videos, and they're darling. And, you know, that we want guys to be masculine, but liking animals or babies or whatever it may be, chickens, I don't care what it is, loving something and being kind is very attractive.
Oh, and a beautiful, gentle heart inside.
Yes.
A strong man, to me, is
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that is my next soulmate. Somebody with those qualifications.
Yes. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. That depth is great. Yes. Okay. Sorry, we got off track here.
Of course.
Lack of effort. Here we go. Lack of effort, courting, and communication. Back to my thing, gentlemen. So two things, gentlemen and ladies. Men have gotten lazy. Men have gotten lazy. Why have men gotten lazy? Because they're able to get away with it.
Yeah, women allow it.
Women allow it.
Yeah.
So ladies, stop allowing it. If he's not doing it, call him out on it. Stand up for what you want.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I mean, if you want him to pull out your chair, you stand there until he comes and pulls it out for you.
I love that.
Yeah.
I might try that.
I mean, if you're waiting for him to open up your car door, wait for him to open up your car door.
That's funny.
If he's not paying the bill, you sit there and wait till he pays the bill. I mean, I'm just saying, ladies, you train these guys and don't put up with that kind of behavior, because if you stop putting up with that kind of behavior, they'll stop doing it. Men are easy. Men are super easy to train. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, guys.
Yeah.
Because I really think men want to make us happy. I do. I believe
they
that.
do. Good men.
But you've got to tell them what makes you happy.
Yeah.
And the other piece of it is, guys, you've gotten away with a lot, and the scale slid down for what the expectations are and standards are for men.
Yeah.
Some men, not all men, because there's some men that are still amazing that still know how to treat a woman. I love that. We love you.
So, there was a friend that at one time we had a romantic interest, and I remember about the teach me or figure them out. I remember us having a correspondence, and neither of us had been single or with anybody else in 28 years.
Right.
And he said in a text, "Will you teach me what you like?" And I said, "Let's teach each other."
Yeah.
So isn't that kind
nice?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right. Kind of what you were talking about.
I mean, that's great communication.
Yeah.
Teach me what you like.
Right. And that was a long time ago.
And as long as he's open to it.
Sailed.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's great communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are men who like to communicate like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that are willing to do what you want them to do.
Yeah.
You know, I tend to find, it's kind of a silly thing, but I think men that get out of marriages that are divorced, they realize they're in this giant sea of, I have no freaking idea what I'm doing anymore. And they really want advice and help. So ladies, when you get a divorce, guys, this is interesting because this is the truth too. A lot of times the reason that men are divorced and couples are divorced is because they stopped doing the things to make them stay together.
Right.
They stopped courting each other.
Yeah.
And so when men get out of practice of this and they haven't been doing it, they don't know what they're doing.
So
it's super important that you remind them, like, okay, I would love to go out with you tonight. Luckily I don't have plans, but because I would love to look beautiful for you and I'd love to be, relaxed and prepared. I would love it in the future if you could just give me a little heads up, maybe a day, just a day's notice and tell me where we're going.
Right.
I may want to go buy a new outfit to impress you, but teach them in a positive way.
Well, right. It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
And deliver it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the message, it's
in
the
a positive
delivery.
way. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So
you're good.
So I've got, Melissa says, the men who live around here, I know too much about. The men who don't live around here are too far away. Dates where men spend an entire hour reciting his resume. I'm beginning to talk about someone and then end up having to block across platforms because they're creepy. It's amazing how many times I've had to block a man. And then it's a huge turnoff when all their Facebook friends, they're friends with all the same 30 single women in a 100-mile radius.
Oh my gosh, so true. And the reason I'm dating in Dallas is because of what she just said in Denver.
So listen,
they know everything about me in Denver.
Yeah,
and I love all my friends, so it's not.
So it says, I've been
right.
making the rounds with every single man in 6 counties, so why would I want that? I don't want to be anyone's 4th wife. I don't want to raise anyone else's young kids. I don't want to pick me. I don't want to pick me, man. I don't want a victim. Woo! Okay.
Wow, this woman.
Okay.
We need to have her get drinks with us soon.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You know what? I'm going to say this because those are all, of course you don't want those. Who wants those? Nobody
Correct.
wants that.
Nobody wants
although
to be
somebody may want somebody's young kids, because I talk to people that love young kids.
Oof.
But I'm just saying,
No
a lot of women don't, and a lot of men don't that are grown.
Yeah.
Depends on your kids' ages. But I feel like it's super important. Here we are. Mm-hmm. I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't want this. What do you want?
Oh my God, yes.
You know, because I hear this and I see this and I think, focus on what you want. I know you're seeing what you don't want, but you've got to focus on what you want instead of what you don't want, so you can start picking those out, because this energy is going to attract the same thing. And I don't mean to just, you know, go off from a coaching place, but that's what I do. But I really feel like this is, she says, I'm so over the buffoonery. Get out of the buffoonery. So get out.
Yeah, you got to take responsibility for allowing that in your life.
And I get it. There's a lot of frustrating things going on. There are. Stop allowing it, number one, and step out of what you don't want. You know what you don't want. Go make a list of all the things you do want.
And focus on all the great things that are happening, not the bad things that have happened.
Yeah, exactly.
That's life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where'd you find the good 2 people that you dated? You know what I mean?
Go back.
Let's dive into the things that you want. And I think I talked about this at the beginning of the show. I see this with women, because we have an app that women pick men first, and the women say no first before they say yes. Find what you like first.
So good.
You know, because matchmaking is different than dating, because we give you vetted matches and you have a whole month to decide whether you want to go out with them or not. Why would you say no to somebody instantaneously when you've had, unless of course you had some bozo the clown on the other side, you know, but you're not going to, right? Because they're a different quality of people. Give somebody a chance you wouldn't give a chance to. That's the big thing here, is that you've got to start looking at a different dating pool if this is what you're finding. Try something different if you're finding the same thing.
And keep saying yes, because eventually, what is it? You kiss so many frogs before you find a prince. All of my dear friends know
100%
that my motto is just say yes. Mm-hmm. I'm rarely disappointed.
Well,
and that's not across the board yes to everything, obviously.
And I do think, I shouldn't say think, I know from matchmaking, the clients that have said, this isn't my type of person, this isn't somebody I would choose, but I trust you, so I'll go out with them. They are my people that are married now.
Oh my God, totally. Remember with SSS?
Yes, totally. And then, there is also people that just follow my page, and if I told you how many emails I get from people that tell me, Jennifer, I met my guy because I listened to you. You said try something different. This is not somebody I would have gone out with, but you know what? I'm madly in love with this guy, and he wasn't all what I dated before, but I said yes when I wouldn't have said yes before, and I can't tell you how that works out for all of you.
So she kissed a few frogs and finally found her prince.
But she chose to do something different. You have to choose that.
Yeah, well, life is all about choices.
Of course, yeah.
Jeez, we're digging deep.
I have no clue where to meet somebody. Right? And so that's one of the dating challenges. That's a great dating challenge. You know what? I think that we have to open up all possibilities on where we meet somebody.
Well, and go to the place like I love to golf.
Right.
Go hit golf balls.
Yes. Yeah.
By the way, put on a cute little golf skirt.
Yeah.
Walk into PGA. You're going to get plenty of attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And you taught me that.
Yes. And if you like to dance, go do country dancing or swing dancing or whatever. I don't even know what swing dancing is. I just came. But whatever type of dancing you like, I know somebody that does dancing and she meets a lot of guys there because that's one of her big hobbies.
Oh, I might need
go
to
where, if you like wine tasting, if you like art, go join these clubs and find those people that like to do what you like to do. I mean, that's where you meet them, is out. And never underestimate, I always joke, people have this huge thing, because I've been saying it for years, the grocery store. Do you know how many people I've met in the grocery store? If you keep your face out of your phone and you're not just looking at groceries and you're looking around, you're smiling at people and saying hi. Yes.
Smile.
Yes.
Yeah.
And another thing I love to tell everybody, men and women alike, get out to dinner. If you're single and you're hungry, and we're all hungry at some point, right? Go have dinner at one of your nice restaurants, your favorite restaurants. Go sit at the bar and put your phone away and talk to people. You may even start talking to a couple next to you that's married, and they have an amazing single friend now that they've met you.
That happened to me when I flew in to meet with you to interview you or interview me.
Both.
And I went to neighborhood services by myself, sat at the bar, had a great conversation with the bartender. Halfway through the night, I was talking to 3 great, fun men. We ended up hanging out every single night that weekend.
Yeah.
So just give it a try. And that's not a me thing. I don't go sit at a bar by myself, but I did, and it was really fun, and maybe I should do it again when I'm ready.
It's a great thing to do. Go have we've all got to eat, so go have dinner somewhere, right? And sit and talk to people and meet people. The key is what we're missing in society today, and that is staying off our phones. It's eye contact, smiling, and talking to people.
Yeah.
And make it a point to practice with everybody, because you never know what kind of impact that can make. You never know who needs a smile. You know?
Well, and by the way, start by practicing it on yourself.
Yeah.
Be nice to yourself.
Good,
Be kind to yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great point.
Because then it just
gotta love yourself
naturally
first. 100%.
Yeah.
100%
throughout your life.
You know, I had to go do my annual stuff at the hospital yesterday, and there's so many people that are going into this hospital that have things, and they have things, and you can see the worry on their face and the stress in their bodies. And I just found myself literally before I walked in the door, just putting a smile on my face,
so much
and just smiling and saying hi to everybody, and just seeing literally them looking up and you smiling at them. It changed that moment for them. You could see their whole energy shift. But I feel like that happened. That's for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're walking in a hospital, a grocery store, a restaurant, whatever. We're missing that. You see families at dinner and everybody's on their dang phones, and their kids are on iPads and nobody's talking.
Well, and life is so damn short and so precious. Choose yourself first. Choose to be happy. Happiness is a choice.
Yes. And
choose to see the best in others and bring happiness to others. And
Amen.
That's what you and I do to each other or for each other.
I don't even know where to stop. I'm going to go through a couple more of these.
I don't even know.
Most of the challenges I hear, this is a gentleman, are imaginary or related to online dating, which I don't do. If you're sitting at a table with an empty seat and a nice lady walks in, ask her to sit down with you or join you. Most of them are so confused or overwhelmed by the simple invitation they don't even know what to say. Say yes.
Just say yes.
Okay. I am going to hit this last one because... or two.
Okay.
One of them is connection. There's a single person every 50 yards. It's just difficult to find. Listen, the challenge is not connection, because we choose connection, but finding that connection. And this is just such a key thing for me right now.
Yeah.
After starting an app and realizing the shift of how you guys are thinking, you're going into these first dates and you want to fall in love. You're going in like, am I going to fall in love with this person? Could I fall in love with this person? And you got to stop that.
Yeah.
Because it's the key word is connection. All you're looking for is a connection. Yeah. You want to make a connection with somebody. Once the connection's made, then you go from there. Don't put the cart before the horse.
Well, and it goes back to what we talked about, love at first sight at 27 versus 56, and
yes.
the process has to slow down for it to be
100%.
right.
Take the pressure off.
Oh my gosh, for sure.
Yeah. So connection's really important. And then this last one I'm going to hit just because it's interesting. And this is somebody who's a little bit younger. She said, everybody's sleeping with everyone on the first date. Okay.
Wait, my kids are going to kill me.
Oh.
I just played in a golf tournament, and we're all members at a country club. And we had to come up with a catchy name, so we called it Pop Cherries. And behind the scenes, I was saying, still waiting to pop my widow cherry.
My God. Oh my God.
God, I hope Lex and Alec never hear this.
Oh, yeah. Do not listen.
Well, the good news is I'm not sleeping around.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that next right connection.
Right. Which is,
when I know
which is noble.
By the way, I know my next one will be my last one, so I'm going to wait for that.
There you go. And that's, you know what? And that's the way we have to look at it. But you know what's happening?
Yeah.
You know what's happening, and I'm not going to even say it because it's almost too vulgar for me to say, but I am going to bring some people in to talk about this that are in the dating scene. But so many women, and they're younger, they're not older. It's a younger generation. I'm sorry, younger generation, people under 40. But what's happening is they're sleeping with guys right away. Right away.
Ew.
And they're instigating it, and they're saying, I don't want a commitment, I just want sex. And hello. I mean, it's what happened to standards and self-respect. They're out the window in some of these generations. Not all, because I do know younger people. I do know plenty of younger people in their 30s and 20s that are good, respectful, amazing humans. I know more of those than I do the others. So I'm always surprised by the stories, but it's out there.
Oh, I have to tell you a story. Can I again?
Yeah.
Just give me a timeout or slap me if I need to be quiet. So Jennifer set me up with this beautiful man. Like, he walked into a room, and you can attest. We were like, wow, beautiful.
Beautiful.
On paper, he is a Southern gentleman. He speaks slowly, the exact opposite of me. Yeah. He texted me that we had a beautiful connection. We really did. And there was a mutual attraction, and I remember saying to him, you know, I will let you see all of me, but not have all of me until you know that there's nobody else you want to be intimate with. And he was like really moved that I said that, incredibly respectful.
Right.
We both thought it was going to go somewhere. Unfortunately, life circumstances outside of us,
yes,
I think got in the way, but
you laid it out there.
Yeah, and it was really frightening to be that intimate and that transparent, but it also felt really good.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't a tease.
Hey, I have standards.
Remember,
we
talked about that.
Me.
I said, I don't want to be a tease.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? Men can get sex anywhere.
Yeah.
But they can't find love in a relationship and a quality woman anywhere.
And you can have sex and not make love.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter whether you're in your 20s and you want to get married. Yeah. Guess what, ladies? He's not going to marry the girl he's sleeping with. He's going to marry the girl he can take home to mom. And then when you get in your 50s and you're sleeping with a guy right away, I'm going to tell you what they say behind the scenes, because I know. They say, she's sleeping with everybody else too. I don't want that. They want the respectful woman. So ladies, you got to stop that. You've got this, that men can't sleep with women too quickly unless women allow it. So women, stop allowing it.
Remember SSS?
Yeah.
When you were talking to him, that's not what he wanted. And trust me, he could have the most beautiful young woman in Dallas.
Yeah, that's not what he wanted. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's great that men want this.
He was a great match. Thanks, by the way.
But you're so cute. But yeah. So I just think that there's a lot of great people out there. There are a lot of not so perfect situations, right? But we have to take control of ourselves and what we want, make that decision, figure out, know ourselves, as you said, love ourselves, and get out there and go where your people are. I always appreciate dating challenges because I think we're always going to run into these dating challenges. But I feel like we need to we need to know what we want. We need to know
Date
who we're looking
intentionally.
for. Date intentionally.
Know ourselves.
Yeah, and don't waste your time with the creeps.
Life is too damn short.
So we've got lots more topics to come. Yeah, I know we could just go on and on forever, but I just felt like this was a good one to just kind of touch base with you guys, all you singles out there, and figure out where the pulse is, what you're having your biggest challenges with, and of course, as we see fit, if we already have a lot of this stuff in the app to prevent it, but that's the other thing for me too, is trying to put all this stuff in the app so that we can at least have a space where people are dating using technology where it's safer and smarter and more intelligent than the dating app. So we don't want that for you guys. So thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. And if you guys are not already following on social media, please follow me on social media. And like our page, the Lovability Podcast, and the Lovability app. So we now have a Lovability app that we've weaved into.
I love this, by the way. That's new.
That's the podcast. Yep. So thank you for being here, and have an amazing week.
This is Jennifer. Thanks for listening today, and please subscribe to the podcast. Each show, we're going to have new topics and information. If you'd like to find out more about coaching or matchmaking, please go to my website at lovejen.com, or you can find me on my Facebook page, my personal page at Jennifer Stiers.